Hey, welcome to the channel and the update review of the WEN 8x12 wood lathe model 3420T. Here it is after 7 months and 39 projects. Here's what it looks like. Well used, I'd say. And let's get right into it. Well, let's start right off with the negatives and we'll roll on to some positives before we finish off with what killed this lathe. The first thing that you'll know about the review, and I can't stress it enough, is how it was stressed to me as a new turner. The tool rest. The tool rest was the biggest and the most amount of feedback I had received when I started out turning on a wood lathe. The issue that we have with this is that it sits too high. They kept saying, all these professional turners, or more professional than myself anyway, kept saying you need to lower your tool rest. Your tool handle is too high, you need to bring it down. Well, as you can see, I can't bring it down any lower. It's already at its lowest point, and if I put it at the point there, it's sitting up high. You can't really see that very well in the video, but or in the cameras it's kind of angled down, but it's going up. And some eagle eyes pointed it out. And here, if I put it level, you probably can't see this, but I'm above center. So if you're turning a bowl and you're trying to get to the center of it to clear it out, you're gonna have to bring your tool rest up, your tool handle up, which is not ideal. I got yelled at quite a bit, so that's why I bring it up. So I thought, well, maybe I got a defective tool rest, and it did come with two, the long one and the short one. So I thought, well, maybe I'll put the short one on. But the same thing holds true. Even with the short one, it's actually worse. It sits up too high. So I had to go ahead and figure out a solution. Could I even find a replacement online? And I can't. I could not find an aftermarket. I had to go and make my own. This is 1/2 inch all thread that I shaved down because this is a 12mm receptacle. So I had to shave this down, and luckily a friend of mine was able to weld on this piece of steel. Now I've got a tool rest that sits well below the center, and you should be able to tell that it's definitely going lower now. And I could even raise this up if I needed to. So thankfully I'm capable of making something, but I shouldn't have to make something that's brand new. It should have came already designed with the appropriate tool rest. That, after making this and putting this in place, those comments went away. I got a lot of other comments, thankfully, good positive feedback, but at least that part went away. Another aspect of the tool rest is the soft metal. Now the soft metal, you might be able to get away with grinding this down so it brings it down low, but then you're gonna end up with a structural issue. If you get out on the wings without enough material here, it's gonna bend over. And when I say about soft materials, as a new turner with your skew chisel and a sharp edge, you come across this soft metal, it digs in. And I could actually shave off metal shavings with this, because look at those shavings. I haven't rounded off my skew chisel yet. This is very soft metal. It goes further than just the tool rest though, because here at the spindle, the headstock, we've got soft metal. These eyelets are rounding out and oval shaping, and when you're trying to put a faceplate on or a chuck and you're trying to crank it in so it's nice and tight, these are warping and you're not able to get a good grip when you're trying to tighten it on. So these are softening up. Again, soft metal, not ideal. Aside from that, we're looking at a really light motor. This is, I don't know what, there's not a lot of specs on it, but what I can tell you is that it's not a really strong motor. In fact, it's weak enough that when you're trying to hog out material, it'll actually just stop. It shuts itself off. So you have to turn it off, turn it back on, and it teaches you to use a lighter cut and sharper tools. absolutely key. Light cuts, sharper tools. So it might take you a little longer to get through your project, but it does teach you good hand coordination and utilizing those bevels. However, because it's so weak, you're not able to drill. So if you had ideas of using a Forstner bit to drill out the center of a cup or a bowl to hog out the material, this motor is not capable of doing that. I've tried, it just doesn't work. It just shuts off. It's just not powerful enough. This isn't a drill, it's a lathe, even though lathes should be able to drill it out. This particular lathe, not strong enough. So with those negatives out of the way, let's talk about the positives. And the positives here are cheap. It's $168 on Amazon right now, so under $200. It's a disposable machine. It's something to get you into turning if you've not turned before. Maybe you don't know if you like it or not. You're only going to be out $200 plus safety equipment and chisels or tools. So relatively inexpensive to get started. Another aspect is it's just a standard outlet. Plug it into any house outlet, you're ready to rock and roll. With that being said, when you do plug it in, this variable speed on the side is nice, very nice. Turning it down low when you're sanding, turning it up when you're polishing, great. This is absolute must-have on any lathe, no matter what it is. A variable speed is absolutely key if you're shopping for a lathe. Variable speed is number one on the list, in my opinion. Without it, move on. So with the negatives and the positives, I feel that the negatives really outweigh the positives, but I've given you the information. Now you can take it for what it's worth. But what killed this lathe? What, in my mind, was the final straw? Well, that came on the 40th project when I was turning ambrosia maple. It's not a very strong wood. I mean, it's stronger than pine. Probably pine is 1.7 newtons on the Jenka scale. And I've turned a blood bowl, which is 13,000 newtons. I've turned Purple Heart, which is 11,000 newtons. I've turned black walnut at 5.5 thousand newtons. But there's ambrosia maple at about 4,000 newtons. Just to rough it out. Got the old rough and gouge out. Got all set and ready. Just touching the wood. And the wood stopped turning, but the motor didn't shut off. I was taking like a 1/16 or a 32nd of an inch shaving off, and it just stopped. And the belt was slipping. So the belt, unfortunately, again, like most other things with this particular lathe, there are no replacement parts. If you broke a banjo or a tool rest or a motor, there are no replacement parts. It's a disposable machine. They want you to throw it out and buy another one. They want you to upgrade to the next WEN, which, based on this, I am not thoroughly convinced I would do that. I think I would upgrade to something a little bit more pronounced. However, the lathe belt is what killed it for me on this particular lathe. 7 months working on the 40th project, and I pushed this little lathe pretty hard. So it could be, sorry about that. It could be my fault that this lathe has died, but in the end, that was the final straw. I can't find a belt replacement. I could probably find a vacuum cleaner belt or something resembling a replacement. But why go through all that hassle? I'm done. I'm done with this. I'm moving up to something better. So I've given you all I can as far as my experience with this lathe, from its negatives and its positives, for you to make your own decision on how you want to proceed with this particular lathe. I hope you found this helpful, and if you did, consider hitting that like button, and if you didn't find it helpful, don't be afraid to hit that dislike button either. That's fine too. Consider subscribing to see where it goes from here. And thanks for giving me a turn on your screen. Good luck turning yourself, and thanks for watching.